Hey everyone, it's time for Geocache Talk. Whether you're at work, in the car, wherever you are, we hope you enjoy the show. Please give it a like and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play, that you get all the weekly Geocache Talk goodness. Big thanks to the Travel Bugs and our new music that is on the audio for the show. Steve was so kind to come up with some new music for us, and it's just for Geocache Talk. So if you're listening or if you're watching the show or if you watch us on YouTube, take a few minutes, go over to iTunes or Stitcher or somewhere, and or our website, and go listen to the show and check out the new music. And hopefully in the future, we will try to incorporate the music into the Hangout as well. So that's coming in the future. Check out Steve's website and calendar of where he's going to be playing. He's got his concert list out there, and you can find that at Steve Weeks. That's with an S at the end. Steve Weeks Music, STEVEWEEKS music.com, and the schedule is out on his website. Also, big thanks to our patrons, Doug Jones, Joshua and Caleb Slinker, Tom Brotherman, Jeff Arbaugh, Deborah Burris, Joshua, the geocaching vlogger, Nick Hubbard, Andrew Tiepkin, Cecilia Perez, Sydney Sawyer, Valena Mahar, Jane Jewell, Memphis Mafia, Craig Michelle, the Geo Gearheads, Zach Fick, the Deadliest Cachers, Tim Turrell, Neil Moore, Molly the Geocaching Dog, Dee and David Vickery, Adam Labanowski, and our new patrons, Lori Post, Peter Stepanek, and the No-Co Geocachers. If you'd like to become a patron, head on over to patreon.com/geocachetalk for more details. Patrons get path tags, coins, and other geocaching swag during the year, as well as invites to special events only for patrons. Support levels start at as little as $3 a month. Well, we got a big show tonight, so I'm going to start by welcoming the co-hosts, Sydney Sawyer.
Good evening, everybody.
And Jesse Lunsford.
I'm going to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
We're at a different time today.
Good morning for our friends
Good morning.
who listen to. I know Geopal. He listens to us a lot in the morning going to work and getting stuck in London traffic. So shout out to Paul, and hopefully your commute in is going well. So let's jump right into show number 51 for Sunday, May 28th, as I welcome our friend Sarah Murphy, a.k.a. the Geocaching Junkie, to the show. Welcome back to Geocache Talk.
Thank you. It's great to be back again.
It's so great to have you back. You know, we were talking about that right before the show. This is your third appearance on Geocache Talk.
Yep. You think I'd be used to it by now, but no.
But last one was right around Christmas time. We did the podcast of Hope, and that was a lot of fun, and we loved hearing about Irish Christmas.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
About all the things y'all do there. So good times. We just so glad to have you back.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's get started. For those that don't know, Sarah does have a great blog herself, the Geocaching Junkie blog. So Sarah, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started with the blog?
Sure. So I actually started in December 2014. The reason was a friend of mine who I don't know if he still does a blog, but he started a blog because he had is a geocacher. He had been geocaching on Easter Island, and then he went geocaching. He did like 15 countries in like Eastern Europe, and he wanted to just blog about it just for himself. But I had been reading it, and I thought it was really good. And he said, "You should do a blog. You know, that'd be really good." And I kind of went, "Oh, okay, yeah, maybe I will." So what I did was to start. I just did I did like 8 or 10 posts about places I'd been. And my favorite geocaches from those places. And then it kind of it grew from there. For the whole of 2015, I think I did 1 or 2 posts a month, and it was kind of small. And then in 2016, I was like, I'm going to do 2 every week. And I did stick to it more or less every time. And it just kind of grew from there. There was a few posts that people I guess kind of caught people's imaginations, and then it's just gone a bit crazy. So
Good deal. So, how do you keep up that pace?
it's not really. I know this is going to sound really silly, but it's not that difficult to come up with ideas, right? So it's difficult to find time to do it.
Mhm.
But so for ideas, I kind of obviously I go geocaching, right? So there's that's easy, done, right? I've gone geocaching. I'll write about that. I do quite a bit of traveling, so that's always at least one post. And then there's the stuff where really the aim is to help people. So if I see on Facebook or Twitter that people are like, oh, I don't understand how to do this, or what's the best geocaching app to use, or that kind of thing, then I'll write about that. If I know, I'll write about that. And then there's I like to do funny posts as well, so like silly things, like we all have observations when we're geocaching, when we meet people and different things that only geocachers do. So I'll write about that, but exaggerate it hugely, which is always funny because obviously it's exaggerated. Well, it's obvious to me, but then I get people who are actually offended, and I'm like, okay, like I did one that was the 10 types of geocacher, which is clearly a joke, right? It was a joke. If you read it, it was like, it was like talking about people selling their grannies just to get an FTF.
Yes, it was funny.
People were commenting, well, I must not be a geocacher because I don't fit in any of these. And it's like, oh, it's not really the point,
Yeah,
but,
they missed it.
Yeah, but I do enjoy those kind of, writing those kind of things. They're not as frequent. I think I need, to kind of be inspired to write those ones, but they're always enjoyable. And people seem to like them, so.
I like how you make that sound so easy, but I'm not going to speak for Sydney, but I've blogged a little bit, and it was hard for me to do that. And I know you said there's inspiration all around. I see those same inspirations, but I didn't exactly transfer those into a good blog post when I was done. So you've got a talent for that.
Oh, thank you.
Right.
That one, I think you did one too that was it the 10 types that you would meet at an event? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, well, that was a recent one. Last year it was 10 types of geocacher. So actually, when I did that one with the events, I changed the title to You Might Meet. Right? So I was like, you're not definitely going to meet them. It's a joke, but you might, but right. I think, and then I obviously exaggerated it too, but I actually saw, I think Cash Advance shared that yesterday because a lot of people have been reading it today. And somebody commented, what about the holier than thou geocacher? And I just laughed because I had written somebody very like that, and then I thought, now people are going to be offended. I'm going to take it out. So
I can't hurt anybody's feelings. That would be terrible.
I know. Too many snowflakes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He said it, not me.
We'll get started on that. I think all three of us have been, have really, like you said, we're huge fans of the blog, and so much so. I remember one day, I was asking for people to put in a little blurb in my first book, and I saw your blog, not a blurb, but a whole blog post about fitness, and that's what I was like. I was like hoping, and so I sent you that email. I was like, Sarah, can I please put this in the book, please? And you're like, oh yeah, go ahead. So it's a whole chapter is just on is your blog post because it was so great on fitness, and it was just so well done. It's like, it fits so well within that, and it's just I think we've all had that kind of experience, and I really encourage people to go read on it's the geocachingjunkie.com.
Right. Yeah.
And you can go through, you've kept them all out there. And so you can go through and find, I think easily, half or more of them, I think are fascinating, not only to geocachers, but also to travelers. I mean, or people who want to travel more and so they can get inspired to travel more. Is that something else you try to do as well on your blog, is to kind of hit the travel side a little bit?
Yeah, and I think a lot of geocachers do travel quite a bit. So, it's the two go nicely together. There's a huge amount of travel blogs out there. So, and I do love traveling, and actually I thought, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but I guess it was like over a year ago, I started a travel blog. So it was separate from this blog, and it was actually a friend of mine in work who he has his own blog about a totally different subject. But he was like, I don't think you should have two blogs. I think it's going to be you're going to be spreading yourself too thin. And he's like, your niche is geocaching, so you have to work with that. So I mean, I've had a huge amount of advice from various people that have helped me as well. But yeah, that was his idea, to have, it's a geocaching blog, or it's a travel blog, but there's a geocaching niche. Right. So when I do travel posts, I'll write the travel post, but I'll be like, well, this was a good geocache that I did there, or I saw this because of a geocache, which is really important. And I think that, yeah, like you said, it's not just geocachers will be interested in that, because I'm sure you've experienced this. If you go somewhere new, and you find some geocaches, you might find a place that wasn't in your guidebook.
Oh yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
If you're not a geocacher, you may not find that place. So if you read my blog, chances are, I'm gonna find those places through geocaches, and then you can find those places through my blog. So
yeah, that is so true. So many times I think geocachers will find that sort of hidden gem that is not listed anywhere, because I think all of us have kind of noticed that a lot of travel blogs, not yours, because yours doesn't have that, but I think we've all read a blog that has become stale, or it's just regurgitating something they read somewhere that it wasn't really like their experience. And so that's the thing I really appreciate about your blog, is the fact that you're finding these yourself. I mean, you're experiencing them, and so I think that really gives your blog a lot of richness because of that.
And I think that's why people read blogs. It's not, you can read a travel brochure, but you read a blog to hear someone's personal experience, someone's personal opinion. Yeah. So it has to have, your personality in it. So that's the difference. If I'm looking for a travel blog, which I do, I read a lot of travel blogs, and it sounds like a brochure, it puts me off, because I'm like, well, who wrote this? Did the hotel write this themselves?
Right.
Well, it's personal, and sometimes it's bite size. So it's a quick, our favorite one, I say our because my wife was reading it with me and she was laughing the whole time, was the 12 things only geocachers do. It's been a while since you, did we lose her?
Well, no.
Oh, hopefully she can jump back on.
She'll be back. Go ahead.
We'll just talk about her while she's gone, right?
That's fine. Let's talk about her. Oh, there she is.
Here she comes.
There she is. Go ahead.
Sorry. Don't know what happened there.
Okay.
So
keep going.
We didn't say too many bad things about you while you were gone.
I didn't give you time.
No, my wife and I were reading our favorite post of yours. It's been a little while. I don't remember how long ago it was, but the 12 things only geocachers do. And my wife was pointing at me, laughing at me when she was reading it. But I mean, it was only like, it was a page worth. It wasn't anything big, and it was 12 posts. But and every one of us, the target audience there would, can identify. Even if we haven't done it, you absolutely know people do. And it was just bite-sized little things, but it was hilarious.
Yeah,
so
that's
not everything has
that
to
was
be
that's my most popular blog post ever.
Was it really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny. It was popular with us. We thought it was hilarious.
That is funny. So, Sarah, I have a very hard question for you. What do you like most about blogging?
I think it is a hard question. I think it's easier to answer like what I don't like about it. But no, obviously, if I hated everything, I wouldn't do it.
Right.
But I think it's helping people, really, and not just helping people, but like Jesse was saying, they're making people laugh as well, which is a big thing. When I was in college, so I wanted to be a journalist. That was my aspiration when I was in college, and I wrote for the college paper, and I wrote various things, like they let you try out different type, like reporting and different things. But when I wrote features and they were humorous, that was where I liked writing those. And my editor said that those were, that's the best thing that I write. So when I write those funny ones, like the 12 things only geocachers do, and people are laughing, and like that, as I said, that was my most popular blog post ever, and the comments and the sharing and everything. I guess that's the thing I like most about blogging, that obviously that people read it, which is your aim as a blogger, that you want to not just be typing for yourself, just you might as well have a diary. But when people are reading it and commenting, and oftentimes I'll get comments like, this really made it clear for me, this is really helpful. And I think, so I did a blog post a few months ago about how to add an image to your cache description, which really, if you wanted to find that information, it exists. But I just did it the way that I would find it easiest to learn. And I have had people say, this really helped me. It was really clear. And that's what I like. I suppose that's my payback. And that's my aim, I suppose, when I write blog posts, is that somebody will either be helped or will laugh. So.
And that comes back to that personal connection, and you're good on your blog about when somebody comments, you comment back, so they know that you saw it.
That's funny actually, because that's a natural thing for me, and I have my blog email address, and I also have a newsletter, and when the newsletter is sent, you can reply to the newsletter, and it comes to me, and I always reply if somebody has taken the time to email me. Now it might be like a week, but I'll always reply. And quite a few people have come back to me and said, thank you so much for replying. It's such a personal touch. And I'm like, of course, I'm not, I don't know, someone famous, insert famous name. So why wouldn't I, It's nice for me if I get an email, I'm like, oh, this is, cool. And I get to talk to this geocacher who's wherever he may be, and it's interesting to talk to other people. But I think if somebody comments, you have to respond really. Unless it's negative.
Yeah, it's probably not worth it then.
Yeah.
But I think you're famous. You're on live right now all around the world, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Live and recorded for all time,
Yeah.
Forever.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Do
do we get to switch to talk about our
Yeah.
next thing?
We will, but one last question, real quick.
I'm excited. Sorry, go ahead.
I know you're excited. When you go to, and we're going to talk about events you've been to, but do you have people come up and say, I read your blog? Do you have that come around, or?
Yeah, well,
because your blog is not like live, like you can see you all the time. I mean, your pictures but you don't make it about yourself. I mean, you're making it about things, but
yeah. I think only once. Yeah, like a year ago, it was a walking event. And I was walking, if you read the blog, it was from like April last year. Like, I feel like I almost died on this walk. Like, it was the longest walk I ever did. I had like people carrying me nearly at the end. I was like, and it was near the end, and I was like big red face. I was like, I'm not going to make it. And then there was a guy sitting with, I guess he was taking a rest too, with two people. And I was walking, and he goes, oh, here's the Geocaching Junkie. And I was like, now is when somebody,
Just don't take any photos. Like,
Yeah,
don't take photos right now.
Yeah. And then I was like, I don't know what to say, So I was like, oh, hi. But I don't think anybody else has ever, no, I haven't been recognized, no.
Recognized. Other than your friends. I mean, obviously we see those people, but
yeah. I know. There's a few of them watching now, and I'm getting WhatsApp messages, and I'm going, oh, God, what are they saying? But yeah.
Well, and one more thing before we get to our new discussion, which is, since we've talked, we had Hendel on the show.
Oh yeah,
who became Geocache's own German geocacher that we had on the show. We'll have to have him back on sometime soon. But Sarah's the one who got us in touch with Hendel, and so that was neat that we were able to include. Kind of in a roundabout way, Sarah's been able to help the show out in another way by getting us people. So I know him because of my blog. I mean, I did meet him at an event, but he emailed me or tweeted me or something, and he was like, "Oh, I found your blog, and I'm
is really helpful for planning the trip. And anyway, he came to one of my events in Dublin, and I've met him. But yeah, it's funny because I met him, like I got in touch with him through the blog. But yeah, he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, so it worked out great that you were able to help us because you know, we it's sort of an international friends thing we've got going here. So
yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, she just casually mentions my event in Dublin. That is awesome for us. Think about that.
Yeah, well, actually,
over in Dublin,
it's unusual now because I obviously moved to Belfast over a year ago, but I actually had that event when I was like home for one night or something. But I don't really go to events in Dublin anymore because I'm not there. So it's sad.
Yeah, I haven't been there lately either. So
no, yeah.
All right, you can continue now. I'm sorry. That's all.
All right, so we get to talk about the new thing now, right?
Yes,
All
go
right,
for
I'm
it.
excited. I know I'm pretty excited about it. So, yes, there's a new blog on geocachetalk.com, and Sarah, you did a first post and kind of announced, kind of teased it out to people that you were going to have a post come on, and then you did your first official post is on there, the best cache I never found. And for anybody that's not lucky enough to have read it yet, can you tell us basically what that is? You want to spoil it, of course, but you know.
Yeah. So basically, it's I think we can all agree that oftentimes when you go geocaching, it's not about the find; it's about the journey, the adventure, all that. And sometimes DNFs are more interesting than finds, for whatever reason. So I know like lots of people have really interesting DNF stories. So that my idea was to share people's stories about caches that they didn't find but still had a great adventure on. So I wrote about mine, which was one that I didn't find in Monaco, which, if you're not familiar with, is a tiny principality in the south of France, on the French Riviera, South France. So it's like a couple of square kilometers. It's a tiny place, but it's the Monte Carlo Casino is where this cache was that we didn't find. And it was just, I won't say any more about it, but I'm actually going back to Monaco in August. So maybe I'll find it this time, which would be funny. Or maybe I won't find it, which would be funny.
It was, awesome. And I'm not going to spoil it either for the people that haven't read it. I don't know why they haven't, but if they haven't read it, the article was interesting because of the angle you took to talk about the DNF. And I've never even thought about that. I don't know why before. You know, we think of our DNF stories in a certain way, but not the angle that you took on it. So that was pretty good.
Okay, yeah.
And funny and hard not to spoil. So
yeah, so just go and read it.
That's right. Go read it. People, come on. What's wrong with you? It's been out for like days. So, what kind of things are you thinking about covering? So you've got some pretty good creative control here, and you already know you're an expert blogger. I can say famous expert blogger.
Oh, thank you. Geo-famous, the best kind of fame. So I think, like as we spoke about, I already do it, well, twice a week. It's 3 times every 2 weeks now. I cut back because I'm planning a wedding, but you know, we won't even talk about that. But I have a lot on my plate otherwise. But I love Geocache Talk, and I did want to be involved. And when Gary was like, "Do you know anybody?" I was like, "Me, I want to do it."
That's awesome.
But yeah, but I can't. I just don't have time to do it all myself. But my idea is, and we all know, like every geocacher has, you know, stories. I'm not even going to say one story. Everybody has stories, funny stories, poignant stories, whatever. So whatever you think is funny, or you know, whatever, get in touch with me basically, and let me know. And I can either write it, you know, if you tell me what it is, and then we can put it together, or you can write it. And my idea was that we'd have like a few series. So the first series is the best cache I never found, which is about your most memorable DNF for whatever reason.
Yep. And
then another one was the Millennium Club. So people who have just found their 1,000th cache, which will be more of like an interview type thing. Like I'll ask you a set number of questions, and we'll find out about you and your caching, and then you'll be featured on a blog post. So those were my 2 ideas for like recurring series at the moment, anyway.
What is the best way you want people to contact you on those?
I guess my email is probably the easiest, which is sarah@thegeocachingjunkie.com.
Okay.
Or if you, on my Facebook page, you can message me through my Facebook page, which is the Geocaching Junkie blog.
Okay.
Or Twitter,
Mhm.
I usually follow back geocachers, so if we're following each other, you can message me there. And that's the Geo Junkie is Twitter. So.
Cool. Yeah. And one thing that I made a note in the chat room, but I wanted to mention it actually in the show, which is somebody was mentioning about having time to read, and we all have our, to have to budget our time. One thing though that I wanted to point out to people is that if you go read a blog, if you go read any blog, so many of them, or some of them can be, they're like almost books. And it's like, I just don't have time to read all that. The length of your blog posts are like perfect, because I think they're like, and do you like, are you real conscious of how much you're putting in a post, or do you try?
I think
they're varied, but still, do you kind of?
Yeah, they do vary a bit, but I try not to make them too long, because I know it's just the world we live in, right? People get bored so easily. I do too, so I understand it. So I love taking photographs, which is something that kind of came out of blogging, because you need to have nice photographs. People will just click off if they're grainy. So I do put a lot of photographs in, but I was doing a blog post. I went to Poland in March, and I went mainly to Gdansk, that city, but I also did a few hours in another place. But I was writing this post, and Gdansk is amazing. Like, it's just really, it's a little known. Like, people usually think Poland, Krakow or Warsaw, but it was amazing. But the other place was Sopot, which is like a spa town. And I was like, if I do this together, it's going to be too long. So I didn't have a restriction on word count, but I just thought, I knew myself, this is going to be too long. So I just split it into two. So, you can, yeah.
Which worked great. It really did, because it, like you said, they were of good length. They were good. They were fun to read, but you gave so much great info about a place that, a lot of us, have obviously most people have never been, at least, as far as the U.S. listeners.
Yeah.
Our Europe friends may have been there.
I think if people are going to Poland, it's not really the most popular place to go, but it's definitely worth going. So
right.
It's nice to highlight those places rather than the normal, like everybody goes to Paris or Berlin, but it's nice to talk about the smaller places sometimes.
Now, I love, like you're talking about, the whole idea of including quality photos. I think really gives your blog something that many don't. Some blogs, you get one photo and then like a page worth of information, which is maybe good, may not be good, but it seems like it's almost like if you're going to paint the whole picture of a location, I think that really makes it as rich as you can get to experience a location, be able to see things, and to hear you talk about it.
Yeah, and it's interesting actually, because a lot of people write when they're advising you how to write a blog post, because if you want to know how to write a blog, there are literally thousands of websites. But a lot of people will talk about you write the blog and then put your photos in, whereas I always write a blog around my photographs. So I literally do it the other way. Right. So I guess maybe that has some bearing on it, but I can't imagine. I actually think that the photos inspire me, because I'll go, oh, I remember, I did that in that place, and then I'll write about that. I wouldn't remember what to write if I had to write first, I think.
Right. No, that is great. That's good information too, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so if somebody has a story, like you mentioned earlier, that you'd help them write it, but they're not really comfortable with blogging or teasing that whole story out, and they contacted you with an idea, you could probably come up with something together, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I just, just need the bare bones of whatever the story was, like as if you were telling a friend, oh, this happened to me. Tell it to me like that. We can even do a chat like Skype or something, so you can actually talk to me if you're not even comfortable writing it down. Because I've talked to people to do articles, and they're like, well, I'm not really good at writing. It's fine. Just tell me and I'll write it for you. That's no problem.
Well, I think some people are scared because they don't feel like they have the ability to write well enough to put it out there, but they've got those stories. and that's a helpful thing, so people can do kind of work with you to craft that and feel like they're getting their story out there. So that's a pretty neat way to do it. I haven't heard of that before. So, and I'm guessing if somebody, even if they did have a good story, but if for some reason they didn't, maybe they're shy or they don't like putting their name out there, we could always put an anonymous.
Yeah, definitely.
There, right?
Yeah. Because, you know, we don't need, you know, if you want to share your photos of you, that's great. But whenever I'm out caching, my friends laugh at me because I take stock photos. So if we're geocaching, I'm like, now let's pose the geocache like this and like this so I can get my stock photos. So they always make reference to that in their logs because they think it's hilarious. I think they're used to it now because they're like, do you need to take a stock photo of this?
That's good,
funny.
Though.
Yeah.
That's good, though.
So I have those to put in.
Sometimes you have to have a set, like, let's all stand at this place and take the photo. I mean, you tell them that I say it's okay to do that.
Yeah. I think they're used to it now, but because I think when I started properly like blogging a lot, I was like, I never take pictures of caches, you know, like I take pictures of the view or whatever, but I never take them of caches. And when you're doing a geocaching blog, you'd be amazed how many pictures of caches you need. So now I have like hundreds of them. So just in case.
Well, I put out the call in the chat room, and now I'll do it over the audio, that we're challenging the people that listen and challenge people in the chat room to get in touch with you with at least one story. I'd love to see a story from every one of our listeners and the group, which at this point we kind of know everybody, so we're all kind of friends anyway, so we might as well tell stories to each other. So we'll see how many people step up and do that now.
Yeah, it would be great. And I've talked to 2 people who are going to write stuff for me. I don't want to put any pressure on them, but I'm like, I need the stuff, send me it. But they have promised. So I'm waiting to get that stuff. I have 2 people are going to write stuff. So so hopefully we'll have something else this week. But so you have a bit more time to get, you know, thinking of topics to send in, and ask me if you think, you know, would this be a good topic or whatever. Just ask me. There's no bad ideas.
What else? So you mentioned the 1000, the Millennial Club.
Yeah.
What else? Maybe a special milestone or just any kind of special story, something that seems significant?
Literally anything. You know, I think, you know, if you're on any of those Facebook groups, like the big Facebook groups, people will write, I got this milestone and this happened to me. Those kind of stories are great. I love reading them on Facebook. So why not have them in a blog? You know? Or this happened to me when I was going for the cache, or I did this really awesome cache. Now, I mean, obviously we don't want to spoil caches, okay? So if it's a gadget cache,
right?
Maybe not. You know, we don't want to show pictures of caches. But if it's a really awesome cache because it brought me to this amazing place, or I had to, you know, climb up on underside of a bridge, thinking of Zach, something like that, then that's interesting and people will want to read that.
So, like on your first one, that's the best DNF.
Yeah.
Would it be good for people to kind of comment back at ones they've had to keep the story going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah. And then I can get in touch with them and we can talk about that. And I'm gonna, I mean, you guys, obviously, you know, you are Geocache Talk. So if you want to talk about your best DNF, you know, especially. Well, all 3 of you are writers, really, because Gary's written a book. And I know you 2 are bloggers, so you don't have any excuse to get involved.
I have no excuse, although I'm a terrible blogger, but
Same.
I could use that as an excuse, but I can already think of a couple DNFs that were interesting that I could add a comment to, so that could be a fun one to get it started anyway, so.
One thing, too, also is that we have people who are all over the world. And so I'm encouraging those that they listen to the show, they're regular listeners. They may not watch the show all the time. They may just be audio listeners. But wherever you are in the world, our Australian friends or Canadian, if you're in Canada, I mean, wherever you are in Europe, please feel free to get in contact with Sarah and, tell about, especially if you're in an area that maybe a lot of us aren't able to go to as often. Maybe might be a little bit more remote part of the world. Maybe you don't live in a major city or something. So, think about helping the rest of us out who don't get to experience some of those places in the world.
Yeah, I think that's interesting too. Like you had Thomas on talking about geocaching in Germany. So if there are listeners in different countries that want to talk about, geocaching in France or, anywhere, Canada, whatever, how it is different or, what that's like for people who may never go or want to go and can't,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something we try to do. I mean, people kind of know this, but the three of us are consciously and deliberately trying to make sure that we get on great guests that are not only, we get a few, US, but we also try to get on guests. Deliberately, we're trying to get people on that are international because we know it's an international sport. Our show's international, so we really try to work on, Craig's going to be on soon, who lives in Australia. Sarah's been on now a few times. Like you said, we had German, we had Hindle on.
Mm-hmm.
So Geopol.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we're really focused on being aware of having people on in different parts of the world. So so try to help us out if you're in different parts of the world and we want to get a blog post from you guys.
Absolutely. And pictures too.
Yes.
If you're like some of the rest of us. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. If you're not traveling or thinking about traveling or you're looking at somebody else's blog post about traveling, it's great. And yes, we get very jealous when to see those.
But that's a good thing.
A future trip though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the bucket list gets longer,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, so we're talking about traveling, right?
Yep.
And we talk a little bit about, and to inspire some people, what it's like right after Gary talking about that, since we have somebody on that's not from the USA, can we talk about caching in Ireland?
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's it. End of show.
Okay.
There we are.
I need to know.
Show's over.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about. Actually, I saw an interesting discussion on Reddit. I think it was over a year ago, where somebody asked, "Oh, I'm going to Ireland, and there's not many caches." And I was like, because Ireland is like about the size of Indiana, the island, and I actually don't know what the stats are at the moment for how many active caches there are, but in Dublin, Belfast, Cork, the cities, there are loads of caches. There's a lot of rural areas in Ireland, but and you won't get as many caches there just because people don't live there, so you're not going to get as many cachers there.
Right.
But we have a lot of caches, and obviously we have Europe's first cache, so why would you not want to come here?
Absolutely. Europe's oldest is right there.
Yeah, it's in my hometown. Was placed on my 16th birthday.
How about
Look at that?
I had no idea, obviously. I think even when I logged it, it was in my first 10 or 15 caches anyway. And I was clueless, no clue that, even though it was called Europe's first, you think I would have had a clue, but I didn't know that it was so important.
Right.
Yeah, but I've been up there quite a few times since, so I think I've, I know it's important now. Yeah.
You checked on it a few times, make sure it's still there.
It's a good place for TVs and stuff.
You told us the story that one time about somebody DNF'd it, and you're like, "What? It's gone!" No.
Yeah. And I got my mother to run up there because I wasn't there, and the guy who owns it, he had emailed me. He thought, "Oh, are you there? Can you check?" And I'm like, "I'm not there." So I ring my mother. I'm like, "Go up the hill." So she ran up the hill. She's like, "It is there," and it was so funny when she called me. She's like, "What's wrong with these people? It is there." And to be fair, I don't know how you could DNF it. I really don't know. Like, it's so obvious.
Maybe you get lost in the view, because what a great view from that location.
Yeah, it's really nice there.
But yeah, it's a large.
I feel better about not knowing the significance of that. I found Mingo and didn't know what it was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, at least you found you know what? At least you found it and you didn't drive by it.
That's true.
A lot worse.
I actually thought when I pulled it up, because I was so early in caching, that there was numbers missing from the app. Like, this thing is only part of the numbers on here.
It's not like that one's called America's First
Yeah,
Geocache
yeah.
or anything.
That's
Not as
so
obvious. Yeah. Oh, he was just trying to
Thank
make
you,
me feel
Sydney. I
better.
feel better now.
sorry, guys.
She's just trying to make me feel better because everybody knows about it.
Yeah.
So I looked it up while we were talking about it. There is 9,677 active caches in Ireland right now.
Wow, that's a bunch.
That's all right.
Quite There's no caches there.
Yeah. And actually, it was funny because on that Reddit, then there was a guy who was like, yeah, I was just there. And I asked somebody why there wasn't that many caches. And they told me that it was because they like quality caches. And I was thinking, who the hell told him that? Sorry, language.
No, you're
I'm
fine.
like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Because, I'm not going to lie and say all the caches here are amazing. Because, you don't know.
No, you're not going to get that. But still.
And we do have some very nice caches, and there's a lot of cachers who are hill walkers, and so there's caches with really nice views, and we have a lot of nice views here anyway, that even ones that you can drive to, and I think that's what a lot of the caches are about. So but yeah, so
you're in Ireland. I mean, there can't be a bad cache in Ireland. I mean, you're in Ireland. I mean, it's gorgeous. Come on, people.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, you always get like a soggy log thrown into a bush. That happens everywhere, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
So did you say hill walker?
Yeah.
What is that?
Like hiking, hikers.
I love it. I don't think we say that over here, so
No.
we will now.
Well,
Hill
maybe
walker will be now in the vocabulary.
we don't really have mountains here. Well, we do and we don't, but they're not really. Like, I had a German friend who I used to work with, and she was like, you don't really have mountains here. They're all hills, because they're not really that high, but we call them mountains. So I guess that's why we say hill walking.
I love it.
Right.
Jesse,
you're not a hill walker. You're a mountain walker.
Well, that
I
may be
guess.
true. We do have a few mountains here, but
Yeah.
Just a few.
I like hill walker better. That even sounds cooler than mountain climber. So, what is a typical, or what is? We assume that all your caches, their common caches over there, are similar to ours, but that's maybe not necessarily true. Like, the most common cache that we have here is in the parking lot, the lamppost skirt. Is that the same?
No. So I actually think I talked about this with Gary before when I was on a podcast about how, so I had only been caching for a couple of months, and I was in New Jersey visiting my sister, and there was a cache right at the top of her street. And I went to look for it, and it was like a 1-1, and it was like, the hint was obvious, it's obvious where it is. And I was like walking around in circles going, where the hell is this cache? I don't understand. So I didn't even, so no, we don't have those skirts on lampposts here. It's not a thing. So we don't
What
have
is the common, what would be your equivalent of that? Just the quick, super fast 1-1 cache over there.
Probably a nano on railings, metal railings.
Mhm.
That's probably the most common, I think, sadly. Or like a key hide. Bison tube, more so, not like, I have only been caching since 2013, but I think bison tubes weren't as popular then as they are now, like the last year or two. I have quite a few hidden now, but I think magnetic stuff probably is the most common for, the quick grabs. Maybe those little test tubey things.
So what about a standard, like, depending on which app you use, medium or regular sized? What kind of container would that be?
An ammo can usually.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have, nicely quite a few ammo cans. Europe's First is an ammo can. I also have an ammo can quite close to Europe's First on the same hill. I used to have a night cache that was an ammo can, but somebody stole the ammo can and tipped everything out of it. Which isn't that common here, and it had to have been a cacher because it was a night cache, like it's at a dead end, so I don't know what happened there, which is kind of sad. But ammo can, or like a large Tupperware box.
They hold up pretty well. They tend to crack where I am, so it gets a little bit cold.
Yeah, we don't really have a huge difference in temperatures because we have a temperate climate. So no, the issue would be, what I find is, if you either get like a cheap version of that, then they kind of break off the sides, or somebody leaves it open. So I found one today that it was quite soggy, but the box was fine. So I just assumed somebody left it open at some stage, didn't close it properly, and that's how water got in. But they're generally okay.
All right, go ahead, Jesse. Ask her about that cache. Ask her.
You're talking about the best cache type ever? What?
Yeah, right.
How did you have any idea I was going to ask her about that?
I just knew you were going to ask her about it. So go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you have many Where I Goes in Ireland?
We don't have many. No.
I'll still visit anyway, I guess. But.
We have there's one Europe's First. There's a Where I Go, and it's a T5. There's one right. So you get to Europe's First, and then you keep going up the hill. And there's a Where I Go there. And then I think there's 2 or 3 in Dublin. There's a few in Northern Ireland. There's 2 in Belfast, I think. But yeah, there isn't a huge amount. No. If you wanted to help me, I would love to put one out here. If you wanted to help me.
Sold. I can help you out with that. That is not a problem.
Sarah did it. She said the wrong words.
Magic words.
You're in now. No, Jesse would love. That's
in
one
all
thing.
reality, I actually can help you do that if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Definitely.
Very cool. Gary knew I was going to ask about him. I had to.
I know it. No, it's good. No, it's good. It's interesting. It regardless of what everybody thinks about it, it is an interesting cache type, and we've all talked about it. We're not going to a whole thing about it, but I do wish they would spend more time on, because there's like you said, there's good apps to create them. People just don't know about it. It's neglected, and I think it shouldn't be neglected, regardless of what people think of.
We're tiptoeing that line right now of making a whole extra hour on the show, so we better get back on topic, or I'm going to go off.
No, that's fine. Are there any multi-caches in?
There you go.
Yeah. We like our multi-caches.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'm unprepared. I have no stats. They're all on Project GC.
Yeah. That's right. No, we're not trying to put you on
Project
stats.
GC. We'll find them. No, that's good.
Yeah. So we don't want to spoil it either, but the one of your recent posts was 16 reasons to go geocaching on the Emerald Isle. That's the kind of stuff that people can find too. So that's
awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, actually, it would be interesting to hear, because I don't know if everybody's like that, but I am really proud of being Irish, and our country is really beautiful. And I think other people feel like that about where they're from too, whether it's their city, their state, their country. And that would be interesting to hear from people too. Whatever amount of reasons to go geocaching, in Colorado or something like that. That would be interesting too, if people wanted to share that.
I've heard that people where Gary live are pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In Texas, maybe just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Let's talk a few minutes about events. Sydney just got back from her event in New York. Jesse and I just got back from Moga in Texas recently this year. But you recently, you've been to several events. Now you've been to a Giga.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been to a couple Gigas? I'm trying to recall.
Just been to one. Just one. Last, yeah.
Okay.
Just 7 megas.
7 megas, right? And then lots of little, because you say you've done. You do.
Yeah, I've been to events. I think I've been to 130 normal events. Like
wow.
Now, so, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love events.
Yeah, because y'all have what we call meet and greets. Is that y'all call meet and greets or?
Yeah, like the 30-minute. Yeah. Well, when I lived in Dublin, like you have at least one of those a week because so many people come over to GC 43.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you really get your numbers up with that if you go to those. Because like I worked in Dublin, and so I'd go after work. Mm-hmm. There's not as many in Belfast. There's not really as many midweek events in Belfast where there'd be a lot in Dublin. So I now host one every 2 months. Like a coffee. It's not a meet and greet. It's like we have coffee. It's at least an hour long.
Oh, okay.
So I just had that on Thursday, and I've been doing them for a year now. So I started in May last year. Yeah.
So if you head to Ireland, make sure you stay over at least a Thursday to go to Sarah's event.
Well, it's every 2 months, but we can,
Oh, okay.
if somebody was coming and they let me know, we can have an extra if we needed to.
Oh, cool.
Or just stay
cool.
for 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
that.
stay exactly, or that too. The one that you did in Germany, and we're going to spend a lot of time on this, but I think it's fascinating. The gigas, and Hendel and I did talk about this like in more detail, but I kind of want to get your perspective on it. Do you think there's anything like uber special about the Giga other than there's just a lot of people, or do you think the one, because you went to one, it was last June, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
In Germany,
Project Gluck?
Yeah, Project Gluck auf. Yeah.
Gluck off. Okay.
So, I didn't really, the only difference I found was that, so when we first got there, we had to queue to get through to registration. But I don't think that's the only place I've queued. I've queued at Megas. I think I queued at Bruges last year in 2016. So that was normal. And then when we went into the hall where they had, where they're selling all the stalls, you really had to be aggressive to get to see anything. Right. But that was the only place. Other than that, it just felt like a mega. There was people everywhere, but it wasn't huge crowds. It was a great location because you could spread out, and there was caches all over the place, and there was interesting things to do. Because it's a disused mine or whatever. So it was interesting location.
Whoa, that is crazy.
Yeah, and I'm thinking now I should have reread that post because I'm pretty sure it was a mine.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is. But it's a UNESCO heritage site now. Anyway, they've really done a good job of preserving it. Cool. So it was a really interesting location, and I think that kind of made it. But other than that, I didn't see any difference. Than anything else.
Lab caches were the same, probably.
Yeah, I mean, there was 10 a day. So there was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We were only there Saturday and Sunday. So I only did Saturday and Sunday. But they had them Friday. And then, but I went to the Bruges Mega in Belgium last month, and they had 19 lab caches. I don't know why, but it was annoying because now I have an uneven number of lab caches.
I think I noticed that on your profile, you had 99.
Yeah. Why would there be 19?
Sarah, you're never going to fix that either.
I know. I should have done that one. Remember that one they had in February 2014? I never did that.
Yeah, the I Love Geocaching, or I Heart Geocaching.
Then I would have been perfect 100. No.
You're going to have to abandon one in the future. You realize that?
Yeah. Actually, I could. I'm going to a mega next month, and
you have to do 9.
You're going to have 20 at it in one day.
You have to do 19.
The most ever in a day in Europe, anyway. So.
Is that typical that they do more than 10? Because I know here they usually do 10.
No, that was so Bruges was the first time that I'd done more than 10 in a day. So that's not typical at all. And then this one that I'm going to next month in France is Geo Nord, and they made an announcement to say, they're having 20, and this is the first time ever. I don't know whether they said ever at a mega or ever at a European mega, but that was the most ever at a mega, so 20 is a lot. I don't even know how we're going to have time to do all that, but we'll see.
Now, are most of those
allowed to have 10 here in a mega?
Yeah. Is that really? We can only have 10.
Last couple times I've been involved, that's all I've heard.
Super special.
Yeah. Now, were they fairly good quality? Yeah. Really. Were they were they in locations, or were they actual? Because we've kind of seen, at least in the U.S., they tend to fall in two different categories. Either they take you around town, which is kind of cool, and show you sort of the historical or significant places, or like in the case of the ones that Sydney just did, since you're not traveling around a town, you're in a campsite, and so they have them cool lab cache type thing, caches set up, physical caches.
Yeah.
Are they mostly virtual? You have to answer a question, or are they mostly we have to open the cache and find the container and find the code or something?
Depends on where. So
okay.
For Bruges, they were a mixture of both. So there was some on site, different things. There was what do you call it? A bounce house? Is that what you call it in the
Yeah,
US?
bounce house.
Yeah, we call them bouncy castles. So,
Right.
but you had to get into that. It was like a tunnel, and you had to get in, and the code was inside, and then you had to come out the other end. So there was some like that.
That's cool.
But then there was some that brought you into the city as well. So it's usually a mixture. I mean, I think the best ones I ever did were at the UK Mega in 2015, and they were all on the campsite,
Okay.
and we were camping. And yeah, they were really cool. There was a lot of variety, like you had to hook a duck, and that was one of them. And there was you had to figure out what key went into which locker. That was another one. And there was you had to play Scrabble or something. I can't remember, but they were really good.
Cool.
So yeah, it's a mixture of different things.
That's awesome. You got Jesse all fired up to come to a mega over in Europe. I can tell right now.
No doubt. That's a lot of fun stuff. And
yeah, it was.
a Giga would be pretty neat because, of course, we're never going to have a Giga in America. So
Right.
we're all dying to get to one,
Yeah, you never know. But yeah, I looked at the Giga there's a Giga this year in Czech Republic, but it's I've used all my vacation days with my honeymoon and stuff and my wedding. But so I was looking to just go like Saturday morning to Sunday night, which is what I'm doing for the Mega next month. But it's really far from an airport, so I couldn't do it. It's not doable. But that looks like it's going to be a good one. And I was in the Czech Republic before I started caching, so it would be nice to go back there. But not this time.
Yep,
like
I know that
Megas
feeling.
pretty often.
Sorry?
So we spoke over each other there. But it sounds like you have Megas pretty often over there. Is that?
There's quite a lot in Europe. I wouldn't even be able to tell you all the ones that are going on, but yeah, there's because every country has their own, and some countries have more than one. So yeah, there's a lot going on. I wouldn't be even getting to all of them. I'm going to Geo Nord, which is in June, and then I'm going to the UK Mega in August, the week before my wedding, and then I'm going to Geo Coin Fest in California, which is going to be my first US Mega, so I'm excited about that. But there's also a Geo Coin Fest in Europe in September, and I have already checked flights for that, so I might go to that. We'll see.
That's awesome.
Right, and travel around Europe is pretty easy, right?
Yeah, it is. So we have a low-cost airline and their hub is Dublin. So they go to a lot of places from Dublin. It's an Irish airline. And yeah, it can be really cheap, you can get flights for like €20 to the UK, to England or Scotland, So yeah, it's really easy to do. And then car hire is not that much either.
Yeah,
So.
not so easy here. It's quite expensive to fly in the US sometimes.
It can be depending on
where you're going.
Pretty far, yeah.
Right. It's a lot bigger.
€20 to dollars. So.
It's not too much of a difference, I don't think, is there?
No, $22.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
I could probably handle that.
Yeah, here in the US.
Yeah.
So you get.
Oh, did she lock up?
No.
Or did I lock up?
So
yeah, we were looking for a trip just to go on a quick trip next week, and I don't think we could find anything for less than, and it's not even that far, as we're talking about like $350 a piece times 4. So that makes a quick trip really expensive.
Yeah. Expensive.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna do one last topic. We're gonna want one last mention. So, Sydney, go ahead and do that one. And
Right. So, Sarah has been nominated again for the British and Irish Geocaching Awards for Best Blogger. So this is the second year in a row, right, Sarah?
Yeah. So, it's a different category. So I don't think any of the categories are the same. Maybe a couple of them are, but they've changed it up. So last year it was Best Social Mediaist. And that encompassed like podcasts and a Twitter, UK Geocaching Hour. That was in the category too. But this year it's blog or vlog, I think.
Okay.
And mine is the only blog, which is nice. And it was the only blog last year as well. So it is nice to be in that category.
Awesome.
Yep.
But it's mostly vloggers in there.
Cool.
Yeah.
We'll vote for you because we all secretly live in the UK also. So
I hope he's not watching.
Oh boy.
we would never cheat, of course.
No.
But we have UK listeners, so they're gonna
Yeah.
fill you up there. So that'll be good.
If you live in Europe, then definitely vote.
Only UK and Ireland. But
UK
yes.
and Ireland. Okay, sorry.
Oh, okay. UK and Ireland.
UK and Ireland.
Geez, Gary.
No French. No, sorry.
No, sorry.
Just UK and Ireland. Okay. Northern Ireland, part of the UK. So
Yeah.
any part of Ireland.
Yes.
surveymonkey.co.uk/r/NGAS
Yeah.
for the Geocaching Awards.
And we'll
So
have that
that's-
link in the show notes. So
Yeah, and that's at the UK Mega. They're doing that, so I'll be there to see what. Yeah.
that's where they're announcing the winner.
Yeah, so they're having an award ceremony. They did it last year at a Mega as well, in the evening, like after the Mega,
Mhm.
at Geo Olympics. And I was at that, and I'll be at the UK Mega as well this year. So it just fit nicely that because I was so close to not going to the Mega because it's literally 7 days before the wedding. But we had the discussion, and it was like, no, you can't not go. So I'm going, bringing my mother. She's a geocacher too, so
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
And
Very cool.
voting's open until July 13th. And yeah, it's it's getting closer to the wedding. It's awesome. I know you're kind of in panic mode, aren't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we have invitations in a box. I don't know if you can see them on the table.
Oh
They're
yeah.
just in the box. We haven't written them yet. Yeah,
That's okay.
but they're here. So
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we're so glad for you, and I know you're going to do that a week before a wedding. I think that's incredible.
I know it's a bit crazy, but yeah, it's Saturday morning to Sunday night, and then I'm off. Then the rest of the week. So
Yeah. Flying to the U.S. Or are you going to take the?
Oh no, no, the honeymoon is not.
later?
I'm like, what? No, we're actually going to Monaco straight after the wedding.
Oh, okay.
For a
Honeymoon.
few days,
Okay.
and then we're going on our honeymoon proper in October.
Later. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
Seattle. Yeah, so we're flying into Seattle, and then we're going on the train to San Francisco. So it's like 22 hours. So
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
somebody recommended that train journey to me, so they said it was really cool. So we're going to do that, and then we're driving down the Pacific Coast Highway to LA.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Are you gonna have time to run by headquarters while you're in Seattle, or?
Yes, I have. Yeah, that's already all sorted. Yeah, of course. And also going to find a November 2000 cache.
Oh yeah, good.
You'd think my other half was a geocacher, but he's not. But he understands.
He
He
will
gets
be.
dragged along.
Yeah.
He never will be though, and really he won't.
Oh no.
But it's fine. It's he understands. But like I told him, this cache is like it's a hike, and there's a nice view and everything. So
Yeah.
that's okay then. We just find the cache by the by. But that month, November 2000, can't be found in Europe, I think. So
Oh.
it's a must do.
Working
Yeah.
on the Jasmer challenge?
Yeah, I've got 4 months left, and I can get 3 of them on my honeymoon,
Oh, that's awesome.
and then I have to go to Sweden for the
Oh.
last one.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So that'll be next year, probably, hopefully.
That's a pretty cool place to finish up your Jasmer challenge in Sweden.
Yeah.
Sweden. Yeah, absolutely. Original stash. You gonna try to catch the one in Oregon?
I was in Oregon in 2015.
Oh, that's right.
My
you
friends
were
live there. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
So I've done that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we won't have time to go to Oregon, I don't think. So
I forgot about that. Yeah,
What about the ape
one.
cache?
yeah, well, that's going to be back. So that was just a bonus.
Back.
We'd already booked our flights, and then that came back, and I was like, this is just very serendipitous. So we'll have to do that one too. Yeah,
It's awesome.
Pretty good trip.
yeah, it will be intense. Somebody told me you're supposed to relax on your honeymoon. I'm like, nah, forget it.
Sightsee.
Yeah,
Rest when you get home.
exactly.
Yep. Well, any last? We're gonna wrap up tonight. So coming up on the show next week is number 52. The Geocache Talk will make its 1 year anniversary. We're having JLW4 back on. He was on show number 1, and we're going to talk about the 1 year and just kind of look forward and look backward a little bit and look forward as well. And that's show 52. Show 53 in the next week was be June 11th. We're going to talk about my latest book, the 201 Geocaches Defined Before You Die, and talk about the Lower Wilson score, which is in Project GC, and what's the deal with Lower Wilson. It's kind of what we're going to talk about on that one. And then in 3 weeks, we're going to have Joshua back on, the geocaching vlogger. We're going to talk geocaching and Munzie. Can they coexist?
All right, folks, we hope you enjoy the show tonight. Please email us your comments at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at geocachetalk. And Gary is at Gary Slinkard. I am at Memphis_Mafia. And Sydney is at ShermanatorGC. And Facebook for us is facebook.com/geocachetalk. Show can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, as well as the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click on that subscribe button below so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. And until next week, don't just talk about geocaching. Go check out the Geocache Talk blog and go geocaching. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.